Looking to add a little pizzazz to your holiday cards? Thank you so much for joining me on Amy Hill Creates and my YouTube channel. And today I'm playing with some new products from Altenew. This is the Stellar Cascade embossing folder, and I'm also going to be using this with the Joyful Greetings stamp and die set. You can see all of the greetings here, absolutely wonderful for any really holiday needs that you have. And the Stellar Cascade embossing folder, I'm going to be embossing onto colored cardstock. So I have some green and red sheets that have been cut to 5.5 by 4.25, and I'm just prepping them with some embossing powder because I'm going to be embossing them. And for every embossing folder, there's two sides. There's the emboss side, which you can see I'm putting here, and then there's the deboss side, and I can tell that's there because that's the raised edge. And I'm going to start first with the deboss side. And I'm going to add some embossing ink to this, and I'm getting really good coverage here. Place my sheet of green cardstock, and I'm just spritzing it a little bit just to get those fibers to be malleable. And I'm going to go ahead and run that through my Platinum 6 machine. Let's run it through twice just to make sure I really get a good impression. And you can see the emboss side, and this is the deboss side, and that means that the image is into the paper. And I'm going to be adding antique gold embossing powder to this, and you can see I probably should not have pushed that all the way over onto the other side, but I'm just taking off any little stray bits that I can. So I want those stars to really be the star of the show. So I'm removing a lot of the embossing powder. This does take a little bit of time, and I'm going to get off as much as I possibly can. And this does take a little bit, so have some patience, but trust me, it's going to be worth it in the end as you go along with this. And a dry brush is perfect here, and then of course a pair of tweezers, so that way I'm not adding any more fingerprints onto this. Then I'm just going to heat this up, and you can see how quickly this goes, even though there's so much embossing powder on here. And it's just a really amazing look to get that really shiny stars. Now I have some extra pieces that I obviously still needed to continue to go with my brush, and so I'm just using a sanding eraser to get those off. So we're going to compare that now with the emboss side. And the emboss side you can tell because it usually has the label, or you can actually feel the indentation into the embossing folder. And so I'm just adding embossing ink just to the stars, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to use some red cardstock this time, roll that through my machine, and now I'm going to add some antique gold embossing powder. And you can see it does get to some other places because I wasn't super careful with my inking, but I'm just going to come in with a dry brush and pull that off. Same exact way that I did before. Once I have enough powder on there, I'm going to go ahead and use my heat tool to heat it up, starting from the back. This is a lot of powder, so just keep that in mind. And I'm going to heat that up, and you can see it gives a little bit more of a distressed look versus the one with the green, but I like that too. And so here's both of them side by side, and now I'm going to start on the sentiments, and I'm using this stamp set from Altenew. This is new, and I'm just die cutting these out, and the way that I like to do it is by die cutting and then stamping, and I can make sure that I'm going to get that perfect border all around there. Now I ink these up with embossing powder, and I'm just going to use that antique gold in order to get the same look, or to have a same look with the card fronts that I have. And I'm going to do both of them. And I like the fact that there's a script, and then there's also the block joy. I thought both of those were really neat, and both of them would look really nice today. I'm using tweezers just so I don't burn myself, and you just have to be careful and kind of move these around. So I'm cutting these panels down to 5.25 by 4 inches, just so I can have a little border. And I'm actually going to go through with you my thought process about a sentiment and what I did here and what should I do for a backing, etc. And I typically will use vellum when I have a really big, bold background like this, because the vellum will show through and it will look nice and everything. So you can see on one of the cards I'm taking the Joy. I'm just kind of getting the lineup of this. And I am stamping the sub-sentiment in embossing ink. And then I'm also going to use antique gold powder. And you can see I have that big Joy, and I was like, maybe I thought this would look good with a red background. You'll notice that I pull that off in just a moment. I love the stamp wheel here because I can actually stamp both of these without really a problem. So I prepped my vellum surface, and then I'm inking these up with embossing ink, and then I'm stamping both of them. And then I'm just going to go through, use antique gold embossing powder, and now both of them are heat set. Be very careful on this because that will definitely melt very quickly on the vellum. So just be mindful. All right, so I'm just rolling these around the side of each of the cards and just using my Altenew tape runner just to tape those down. We're going to glue these onto a card front so I know that they will be secure. So I just need to get them down right away. And then I'm going to come in after I tape this one down. You can see I'm trying to figure out, do I want it in the middle? Do I want it in the bottom? I decided on the bottom. I kind of like that, and that gave, so you could really see both of those stars. And now I'm going to come in and use those big sentiments. So you can see I'm like, I don't like this red. So I'm just going to keep it like that, and I'm just going to stick that down. I'm going to do the same thing with the script Joy on the green card. And now I have to pick a background. And so now I'm kind of messing around. So this is red on red. I was like, how does that look? I'm like, how does red on green look? And I'm looking there, and then I'm like, what about white? So I didn't really like that one so great, and I have one more to try, and that is black, and that's the red on black. And so what I decided actually was to do a tone on tone. So I did red on red, and I decided to do green on green. And I thought that looked nice. It gave it a little bit of border, but it wasn't, it really, I think, made those gold stars to be the star of the show. And so this is our embossed card, and you can see, just love that gold shine with this, with these embossing folders. And then this is our debossed card. And I really love this, how that powder is really sunk into the card itself. And those are our two cards for today. So I'd love to hear how you use your embossing folders, what you're thinking of this new Altenew release for October. And let me know in the comments your thought process. Is this something that you typically do with embossing folders? And do you usually use the emboss side, a deboss side? Do you ink or what? And I hope to see you soon on my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by.